So, good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Paras. I have appeared for civil services interview three times, and I successfully cleared Haryana civil services twice in 2019 and 21, and got the post of HCS. I will be teaching you geography, which is of utmost importance for every civil service exam, maybe it UPSC or state civil services. So today's topic is continental drift theory. The person you are seeing in the slide is Alfred Wegener, who drafted this theory in 1922, and it is very interesting theory. Let us see. So he suggested the drift theory in 1920s. So according to him, according to his theory of continental drift, there existed one big landmass of Earth, which he called Pangaea. So जो आज हम कॉन्टिनेंट्स देखते हैं जैसे एशिया, यूरोप, South America, North America, Australia, all these are continents and these are separated from each other और इनके बीच में जो separation है that is filled by water and giant oceans. So पहले क्या था अल्फ्रेड वेगनर ने बोला कि एक ह्यूज सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट था एंड ही कॉल्ड इट एज पैंजिया और उस सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट के अराउंड वाटर बॉडी था जिसे उन्होंने कहा पैंथेलेसा. So the ocean was called Panthalassa and the whole supercontinent was called Pangaea. As a result of the drift, धीरे धीरे drift हुआ क्योंकि इन्होंने assume किया कि drift हुआ है. So as a result of drift, a sea called Tethys was formed. और जो वो supercontinent Pangaea था, that was broken down into two big land masses. One is Laurasia, another is Gondwana land. So Laurasia was you can say the northern hemisphere and Gondwana land was in the southern hemisphere and between them was a sea called Tethys Sea. Tethys. Drift started around 200 million years ago in the Mesozoic, Triassic and late Triassic epoch and continents began to break up and drift away from each other. So 200 million years ago the drift started or through the eras, through the periods of Mesozoic and Triassic, late Triassic, वो continue रहा and the drift is still going on. So हम further theories में देखेंगे कि वो drift कैसे काम करता है फिलहाल. So the land masses started to move away from each other. So the present day continents are formed in this way. So these are the uh, graphical representation of phases of the drift. पर्मियन पीरियड में पेंजिया था पूरा एक लैंड मास. देन ट्रायसिक में इट वाज ब्रोकन डाउन इनटू two land masses. So Laurasia and Gondwana land. And between them the sea called Tethys Sea. Jurassic period, that is 150 million years ago, further इनमें drift हुआ और they began to drift away from each other. Cretaceous period में drift continued and present day आज ये formation है. Africa, India, Asia. This is the formation currently. So, what were the premises of his theory? उन्होंने ये theory किस basis पे बोली? So, basic premises of the theory. So, first is jigs of it. Wegener noticed that the coastline of the continent, particularly Africa and South America, आप मैप में जब भी देखोगे एटलस में अफ्रीका थोड़ा राइट में, साउथ अमेरिका थोड़ा लेफ्ट में. But South America is like this, and Africa is like this. So, the western coastline of Africa, west coast of Africa, fits on east coast of South America. So ऐसे ही और भी चीजें फिट होती हैं और भी कॉन्टिनेंट्स फिट होते हैं. So this is the jigsaw fit of the continents. You can figure out by seeing into atlas which continents fit into one another. So this may be your assignment. Second was the fossil evidence. So what we observed, what he observed was that identical fossilized plants and animals were discovered in South America and Africa. So यहाँ पर इस कोस्ट पर जैसे this is the animal Cyanognathes. So इसके fossils हमें अफ्रीका एंड साउथ अमेरिका कोस्ट पर मिले. Similarly, we have the fossils of Listosaurus around Africa, India, and Antarctica. Fine. Now we have the fossils of Mesosaurus in southern part of Africa and southern part of South America. Similarly, we have the fossils of Glossopteris. This is a fern, this is a plant in all the continents, South America, Africa, Asia, particularly India, Antarctica, and Australia. So he suggested that once these continents were connected and had a common ecosystem. Another evidence was tillite deposits. So what are tillites? Tillites are sedimentary rocks formed out of deposits of glaciers. So tillites are deposits of glaciers, rocks formed by the deposits of glaciers, particularly the remains of glacial tills. So क्या ऑब्जर्व किया that Gondwana system of sediments are found in India, Africa, Falkland, Madagascar, Antarctica, and Australia. So commonly जो टिलाइट डिपॉजिट है कॉमन टिलाइट डिपॉजिट्स were found in all of these places: India, Africa, Falkland, Madagascar, Antarctica, and Australia. So it suggested that they have similar histories, similar geological histories. Another very important evidence is placer deposit. So placer are deposits of gold. These are found on the west coast of Africa, around the Ghana coast. But the source of the gold-bearing veins are in Brazil. So जो गोल्ड डिपॉजिट्स हैं वो हमें पाए जाते हैं घाना में, बट जो उनकी सोर्स रॉक्स हैं दोज आर इन ब्राजील. सो ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है ब्राजील एंड घाना आर द अटलांटिक अपार्ट? सो ऐसा तो पॉसिबल तभी हो सकता है जब once they were connected, once they were part of one big continent. Another evidence is paleoclimatic data. So Wegener studied evidences of past climates. Paleo जहां भी word लगा होगा, paleo means past. So past climatic studies conduct करी गई, such as glacial deposits and coal beds, and noted that the distribution of these deposits didn't make sense based on their current position. क्यों? अभी एग्जाम्पल देखते हैं. Glacial deposits were found in regions that are now near the equator. Glacial deposits इक्वेटर के पास पॉसिबल नहीं हो सकते because we know that glacial deposits are found basically on the either the higher altitudes or higher latitudes. So Around North Pole or South Pole, these may be found, but not near equator. But ग्लेशियल डिपॉजिट के हमें एविडेंस जो मिले हैं नियर इक्वेटर से भी मिले हैं which suggested that these areas were once closer to each other. इंडिया में भी ग्लेशियल डिपॉजिट्स के एविडेंस मिले हैं जो कि सिमिलर हैं एंटार्क्टिका से. So he suggested that India and Antarctica were connected to each other. Another very important piece of information was paleomagnetic data. So paleo means past, so past magnetic data. सो मिनरल रॉक्स जब फॉर्म होती हैं ड्यूरिंग द फॉर्मेशन, जब लावा निकलता है उससे रॉक्स फॉर्म करी जाती हैं, तो इनिशियल स्टेज में जब लिक्विड फॉर्म्स में होती हैं तो दोज रॉक्स स्टोर द ओरिएंटेशन ऑफ मैग्नेटिक फील्ड. वो जैसे अर्थ का मैग्नेटिक फील्ड है उसके अराउंड ओरिएंट हो जाती हैं. By studying the orientation of magnetic minerals in ancient rocks, scientists have found Earth's magnetic pole have shifted over time. When these magnetic records are plotted on continents that are now widely separated, they show a coherent pattern. So, जो continents that are now widely separated, उनमें एक coherent pattern दिखाई देता है कि, for example, the paleomagnetic data found in South America may be similar to paleomagnetic data found in Africa. So we concluded that these two continents were once side by side. So वैगनर ने ये सब पूरी थ्योरी हमें दी, and this theory had very much significance on geology, on geographical studies, but he lacked certain things. His theory lacked certain things. क्या क्या lack किया? He could not tell the exact mechanism of how this theory worked or the origin of the force, कि किस फोर्स के कारण कॉन्टिनेंट ड्रिफ्ट हो रहे हैं, वो चीज वो नहीं बता पा रहे थे. He was not able to do that. Now second thing was सेंट्रीफ्यूगल फोर्स. उन्होंने एक फोर्स सजेस्ट करी भी, वो थी सेंट्रीफ्यूगल फोर्स. अर्थ की रोटेशन के कारण जो सेंट्रीफ्यूगल फोर्स है उसके कारण कंटिनेंट्स ड्रिफ्ट अवे हो रहे हैं. बट the criticism is that because of centrifugal's weakness, centrifugal force is relatively weak force, तो वो पॉसिबल नहीं है, वो चीज थोड़ा पॉसिबल नहीं हो पा रही थी, इसलिए ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी. तो उस चीज के कारण कंटिनेंट्स ड्रिफ्ट नहीं हो सकते थे. अनदर वाज टाइमिंग एंड रेट ऑफ मूवमेंट. Critics ने क्वेश्चन किया how continents could have moved significant distances within the time frame suggested by Wegener. वैगनर ने जो टाइम फ्रेम सजेस्ट किए उस टाइम फ्रेम में सिग्निफिकेंट डिस्टेंस मूव करना वाज रिलेटिवली इम्पॉसिबल. सो ये भी एक इसका क्रिटिसिज्म है. अनदर क्रिटिसिज्म वाज इनएडिक्वेट जियोलॉजिकल एक्सप्लेनेशन. जो क्रिटिक्स थे उन्होंने आर्ग्यू किया दैट जियोलॉजिकल एविडेंसेस व्हाइल इंट्रिगिंग were not comprehensive enough to fully support the theory. They believe that similarity of fossils, rocks, coastlines may be out of coincidence. तो coincidence भी हो सकता था उनके according, but uh, we in the future theory, the theory of plate tectonics, we will see that the theory of Wegener's continental drift is correct to some extent because continents drifted, and the theory of plate tectonics conclusively supported Wegener's drift theory and gave a very typical mechanism how it works, how the continent might have drifted or might are drifting right now. So, in further classes, we will study about the plate tectonics theory. Thank you.